Hello, hello, welcome, welcome, welcome. As you are logging in, if you wouldn't mind just sharing where you're zooming in from and your role in the chat, and a couple of just housekeepings before we get going. If you click on the chat, you can move it from host and panelist to everyone. So then we can have a little bit more collaboration during our session today. So if you just want to say hello, and as you're typing in the chat, I would love to see how you're feeling on a scale of bulldog this afternoon. How are you feeling today? So you can go ahead and say hey in the chat and let me know how you're feeling on a scale of bulldog. I am feeling number one. I'm excited to talk to you today about writing. Okay, so great. We got some more ones. That's so exciting. Oh, some eights. A little curious. Great. All right. Well, we want to respect your time. We're going to go ahead and keep moving along with the content, but I hope everyone is feeling a little bit more one. And even if you are a five, I hope you are going to be feeling a little bit more excited by the end of today. So nice to meet all of you. My name is Danielle Sullivan. I'm so excited for you to be part of this learning series. This is the second one out of, I think, six that we have scheduled for you. So I am from New York originally, and I have been in the ed tech space for the last, oh gosh, almost 15, maybe 20 years at this point. But before that, I was a fifth and sixth grade teacher in New York, and I'm really excited to share today in particular some of the things that I would do with my teaching practice around writing and in leadership in the school. I also used to be an improv comedian, so sometimes I say weird stuff, and I'm really excited to be here at Khan Academy. So today we are talking all about writing. The goal for today is to give you some actionable, practical things to consider, recommendations, pushing your thought leadership a little bit around creating cultures of writing in your buildings and districts. And we'll start by talking a little bit why writing matters, the neuroscience of writing, leadership actions that you can do tomorrow in your buildings. And then we will finish with the benefits of Khanmigo's writing coach and how we're thinking through the AI approach to writing. So you can absolutely comment in the chat. There'll be pause points if you're just watching this video. Even when I ask you the pause points, I'd still like you to think through some of the questions, but we will go ahead and dig right in. So I'd love to start by asking you, what are some things that students need in order to reach grade level proficiency in writing? So take a second and think about this. What are some things that students need in order to reach grade level proficiency in writing? So I'll give you like 30 seconds if you want to type something in the chat or just some independent think time. All right, if you want to type in the chat, go ahead. If not, I'm going to give you some things that's important for students to reach grade level proficiency. First of all, did you know? So critical components of effective writing instruction and practice. It is important for students to write 60 minutes a day. 60 minutes. I'm so curious to see if your students in your districts and schools are writing for 60 minutes a day. Oh, wait, oh, great. We got some chats. Foundation, sentence structure, foundational skills, mastery, strong handle of prior grade level standards. Thank you for sharing. So yes, and 60 minutes a day. It's also really helpful to have direct instruction in audience, purpose, tone, rhetoric, text structure, sentence structure. Writing can be very, very complicated. So it's really important to be able to have direct instruction in those areas and the actual writing process, brainstorming, outlining, drafting, final copy. That's important to teach students how to do that, how to conduct research, and how to incorporate evidence. Also, really providing mentor text for students. So if students can understand and see other pieces of writing, that can be a really impactful way to teach writing for students. Modeling, giving students ample time for building their vocabulary and practicing vocabulary, giving students specific, actionable feedback delivered in a timely manner. And then, of course, reading practice and reading comprehension. And finally, motivation. That is the absolute, I mean, students need to be able to be excited about writing, want to do writing, all of that. So, what are some of the things that make teaching writing? Like, those are the things students need. But what do you think about teaching writing? What makes teaching writing particularly hard for teachers and students? Yeah, thank you. Vulnerability, time. Yes, vulnerability, time, absolutely. I'm going to share some research that we have done and what some teachers have said. I'm really bad at grading things on time. I'm a new teacher, first year yearbook advisor, so overwhelmed. Essays get back so late. My last one was 2 months late with not a lot of feedback. I was trying to have students write a rough draft and give detailed feedback, but it's hard to do that with so many students. Today was a student was really abrasive about it and was like, is this going to actually like get graded this semester? I don't know, but it was my breaking point. I cried. I just felt like I was failing as a teacher. How does any English teacher only work within their contractual hours with all the lesson planning and grading? I dread every time I assign essays. Help. I'm actually looking to pursue other careers. Not that there's many because of this. Um, and even in the chat, writing is the hardest thing we can teach. Many teachers are not trained in how to actually be explicit and direct in their writing processes. Yeah, so quick story for me. Writing is the thing that almost broke me as a teacher. Like, true story. So I was a fifth and sixth grade special education teacher. I was in my fourth year teaching. And what was really frustrating is that I just felt like I couldn't figure it out. I didn't have any support in how to teach writing. My students would not write. They would have actually what I call the final meltdown. Have you ever heard that? Wah, 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 wah. They like just wouldn't write. They didn't understand it. I didn't know what to do. So I was ready to just quit. I was done. I was so frustrated. So what I did is went to a workshop hosted by what was called the Seven Valleys Writing Project. It was a Saturday workshop that my mentor teacher dragged me to, kicking and screaming, where then they offered, I found so much value with these two awesome guys who like just helped open up a different possibility of how you could actually approach writing. And the Seven Valleys Writing Project was a sub part of the National Writing Project. Then I applied to do a summer-long professional learning where I was accepted and spent 6 weeks of my summer with educators in a room, and we wrote and we shared and we talked and we wrote, and it literally transformed my life to the point where not only did I then turn around and teach the Seven Valleys writing thing the next couple of summers, I also came back to my building and I had so many other resources. I'm going to talk a little bit more about this, but I led professional development. I had new ideas. I was an inclusion teacher, so I pushed in for special education, but I was actually teaching my co-teachers how to write. We made writing fun. We made it engaging. We created writers' workshop. It was a complete game changer. And then I even applied for a grant to have a writing camp that kids decided over the summer to spend a week with me writing. So I went from burnout to being a huge advocate for writing, and writing changed my personal life too. So now I want to share a little bit about the neuroscience. Like, why is writing so hard? What can we do to, like, how does it affect our brains, and how can we, use this as a superpower and not something that is causing your educators to be extraordinarily stressed out? So I'm going to lean into some of the research from, the National Commission on Writing, Learning Lab, National Writing Project, and then one of my favorite books from David Souza, How the Brain Learns. So did you know that writing builds stronger neural pathways? Literally, like neural pathways. When students write, their prefrontal cortex, y'all know where that is? The prefrontal cortex is the part of our brain that is our reasoning part, it's our thinking part, decision-making focus. And then our hippocampus is where we actually form memories. It helps build those partnerships. So when you are literally writing, you are building stronger neural pathways in your brain. Another fun fact, not so fun fact, but the amygdala, which is the part of our brain, it's the reptilian brain. You probably heard fight, flight, freeze. When you have when you're triggered by something, your brain actually doesn't even know that it's a tiger. Like, or sorry, when you're triggered by something, like something happens that you don't agree with, or somebody cuts you off in traffic, or something happens that you're not a fan of. When that happens, our brains are wired to do a quick protection, which is the amygdala. It's called, like, you either fight, flight, or you freeze. That part of your brain is very close to the hippocampus too, which is why emotions are very tied to memory and learning as well. And I'll show you where writing can help with that too. So it will build literally stronger neural pathways. So what can we do? We can have students and actually staff start with handwriting. What do we mean by this? When you are asking students to write in class, or if you're asking staff even to remember anything, that there's actually an act of taking notes, paper, pencil, not just on computers. And I know especially now we're in the AI world where computers are taking notes for you. If you want people to stay engaged, if you want students to stay engaged, you want to get them to hand write. Old school, pencil, paper, pen, paper, that will help form stronger neural pathways. Writing helps organize thinking. Say that again. Writing can help to organize thinking. As humans, our thoughts don't actually come out neat, structured sentences. Like, if I am verbal processing and talking, right? Not verbal, not just verbal processing. I am talking to you, but even then, if I were, for me to organize this presentation, I needed to think about it. I wrote about it. I built the slides. It helped me organize my thinking. Writing, the act of writing, helps to force us to shape ideas into clear logical sequences, and then it helps us with those executive functioning skills. So when you are writing, it is going to do so much for your brain to help organize thinking. And a lot of times, the problem is writing can be so hard because students are trying to move so fast, or trying to figure out, what they're thinking or learning in a 50-minute time period that can be very overwhelming. So how do we help this? Use brainstorming before you give students a structured writing assignment. Use brainstorming even in faculty meetings. Give people the ability, students, staff, to start with some messy brainstorming. Build in time for some of this pre-brainstorming with the paper, pencil, sticky notes. Everybody loves a sticky note. I'm telling you, if you want to get educators to write, give them giant sticky notes. It'll make them so happy. But use that to help organize the thinking. I started talking about the amygdala. Didn't know if you tuned out. Hopefully, maybe you're even taking notes. Maybe you're going to help remember this. Writing will help support the emotional processing. And we are beings that aren't, a lot of people are like, oh, humans are just beings who think and sometimes feel. That is not the case. We are beings who feel and sometimes think. So we need to teach students and educators strategies to be able to activate your prefrontal cortex, stay engaged. And learning is actually a really delicate blend. If we want kids to remember things, learn, It does require vulnerability, which means leaning in, willingness to make mistakes, willingness to show up. But writing can support helping students and people emotional process because that amygdala is right next to the hippocampus. So if you are stressed, it's going to cut off your rational thinking. It is going to cut off, it's going to start to affect that neuro pathway to make sure that your memory is strengthened and learning is strengthened. Doesn't just help you learn, it helps processing. So, providing opportunities for not just academic writing, but expressive writing will be able to help reduce stress and improve student resilience. And I'm talking faculty resilience too. Like, even if you start a faculty meeting with a quick write, that can be so helpful. So, build in time for unstructured reflective writing. You can do this for 1 minute, 3 minutes. You can even start a staff meeting saying, I know everyone's been really stressed this week. I'm going to just set a timer for 1 minute. Just write how you're feeling for 1 minute, get it out. Once it's out, it's on the paper. Take a deep breath. All right, let's go back to what we were going to talk about. It is a huge, powerful emotional regulator. I'm telling you, if you don't do this yourself, if you're having a bad day, if you're really stressed out at work, stop everything, set a timer for a minute, and literally just write things down. Why you're stressed out, what's happening. It's going to start to calm your brain, get you back into, lower that cortisol, and get you back into that prefrontal cortex, which is where we need to be to teach and function and all the things. So, emotional processing. Writing also strengthens learning through what's called the generation effect. What's the generation effect, Danielle? What it is it shows, right? We can retain more information when we generate the information. So writing, the act of writing, can help us recall things, synthesize things, or explain information. So instead of having students just copy notes from a board, because even the act of writing, handwriting notes, that's going to help them remember things. But why don't you use some timed short writes and have students summarize what's happening in their own words? So for instance, I would often have not only, if you want students to take notes, or a lot of people use Cornell notes, which are like questions on one side, students' thoughts on the other, just giving opportunities for quick summaries that can help generate their information. And then finally, writing is going to help students prepare for any AI collaboration. AI is here, y'all. It's here. And I know a lot of you are really struggling with students just using AI to cheat, to easy button, all of that. So that's why today we want to talk about some old school strategies that will always work in the future. When there's no AI in the future, you'll still be able to write with paper pencil. We are still humans, but we don't want students to be passive consumers of AI or just use it very surface level. Why don't we lean in and use AI to help students develop analytical skills, help students develop creativity and critical thinking, which are the human skills. So teach students how to work with AI, have them analyze AI writing, have them compare what AI would say to their own, like give them some prompt, brainstorming a prompt, then put the same prompt in AI and compare how does AI write versus how they write. Teach them how to write prompts for AI. Lean into it because writing is going to help them just be stronger consumers of technology. So I'm going to pause. Take a second to let you read these funny memes. I don't know what is happening with my Zoom. So, difference between a cat and a comma. One has claws at the end of its paws, the other has a pause at the end of its claws. Or let's eat grandma. What? Oh, punctuation saves lives. A little fun, little writing humor for you. All right, so take a minute. What's one thing you learned in that section of the neuroscience of writing? Is there one thing that you want to comment on? If you're just watching this, take a minute, be like, whoa, that was a lot, Danielle. What did I just learn? What's something that I wanted to point out? So in the chat, Is there one thing that you didn't know or something that reinforced? So let's take a quick pause minute, independent think time, or if you want to type in the chat, that's great. How writing is works with the brain. See if anyone wants to take a social and academic risk, share a little bit in the chat. Yeah, great. Thank you. The prefrontal cortex. Did another fun fact? Great. It can help improve executive functioning, reinforce writing, impacts the cognitive load. I love that. If when you are triggered as a human, doesn't matter if you're 5 or 50, if you start to something triggers you, it could be a parent call, it could be somebody said something to you, it could be you're just having a bad day. When that happens, and you get really stressed and worked up, your prefrontal cortex does not work for at least 20 minutes. Your cortisol is raging through your system. So by incorporating some of these strategies, like taking a minute to write, that will start to shortcut that time because you don't have 20 minutes in a class for kids to calm down. You want to teach students and teachers, I'm telling you, this writing became a huge tool for me to not like snap and go crazy in faculty meetings, or I sometimes struggle with saying the first thing that comes to my head. So writing's actually helped me with my relationships, but it can be a very powerful tool for self-regulation, both for adults and students. So now I want to lean into the next section. What are some actions you can do as leaders to help create these cultures of writing in your schools? So I'd love to know, is there something that you're doing now that you're really proud of when it comes to writing? It could be AI writing, using AI tools, or are you, what's something that you might be doing that you're like, I want to brag and just share in this chat what I'm doing? Ooh, jot of the day. Yes, Christine. That's amazing. Anyone else want to? Okay. Modeling sentence level activities at faculty meetings. Oh, I love that. I love that you're modeling stuff at faculty meetings too. That is a perfect opportunity because I think that's great. So I'm going to give you some more ideas of what you can do even in faculty meetings. I have a whole reading and writing boot camp that breaks down the process with freshmen. That's amazing. Amazing, amazing. So I'm going to give you some tips and then ideas, and then share how I did this in my building because my principal was very nice and let me do a lot of really cool things. So share a bunch of ideas. So write some things down, get ready, but we're going to go through some actionable things you can do in your districts to enhance stuff. So number one, as a school, make writing a school priority. As a leader, make it a priority. What do I mean by that? Create cross-disciplinary framework. Give the same expectations. Just because you are a science teacher does not mean that students don't get to do quick writes in your class. It is not just an ELA thing. There's opportunities for students to write in math. There's opportunities for students to write in music class. Make writing a school priority. Model leadership buy-in. I love that you just shared modeling in staff meetings. Incorporate more writing in staff meetings. Do quick writes, do jot, what did you call it? I love it. Jot of the day. Model writing and professional learning, model writing and professional learning communities. Like when you are there, it's really important. And if you're asking teachers to write, it's really important for you to write too. Don't just be like, well, let's do a quick write, and then you stand there and stare at them. That's not helpful. Cross collaboration. Give educators time to plan how they're going to incorporate writing into their unit plan subjects and help them collaborate. Because as we shared earlier, sometimes writing, it's really hard, but I'm talking like the low-hanging fruit, reflective writing, quick ideas, brainstorming, just those are some things that any educator can add to their tool belt. So I want to share a story going a little bit deeper. So I did the professional learning over the summer, and I'm telling you, it changed my life. I actually see myself as a writer. I started doing a lot more creative writing. But I knew that my principal was really struggling with teacher buy-in and teacher burnout. And this was like in 2015. Do you still have teachers struggling with burnout today? I bet you do. I bet you do. So I really honor that my principal decided she took a full day that we got subs, half the school subs the first half and then the second half. And she let me lead a creative problem solving session that I was the facilitator using writing questions, writing, sharing to uncover some problems of practice we were having in a building. And then we brainstormed together how to solve those problems of practice. So we did two things. Not only did we use writing as a tool to collaborate, to generate, and to move things forward, I also was modeling strategies that teachers could take back to their classrooms using writing, sticky notes, poster paper. So it was really powerful. And I was super grateful for her leadership that she gave me the opportunity to really dig in with my colleagues to show not only how powerful writing could be, but using it as a tool to solve some real building level problems. So, number one, making it a cultural shift. Number two, how, in order for you to really be a leader with writing, supporting teachers by providing high quality professional learning around writing. That's what Michelle shared earlier. A lot of teachers aren't trained. A lot of teachers did not get explicit instruction in their pre-service of how to teach writing. That is a huge, it's a missed opportunity over and over. So how can you support teachers by really providing the right PL? And I know that time is very, it's of the essence, right? But how can you prioritize doing this? Maybe do a writing lab professional learning series. Like I love that. I love Christina's talking about reading and writing boot camp. How can you give time running small group hands-on workshops where teachers are just gathering to write, share, and write some more? Your own writing boot camp, reading boot camps, like any of this, like giving them time. Because I'm telling you, if you just give teachers time, some really good questions and markers and sticky notes, even if you don't really give them even more direction than that, it'll be really magical. Trust me. I've done it again and again and again. But it's also helpful to leverage the teachers in your building because you may have some teachers that are doing amazing things with strong writing instruction and skills. Help them start to, it'd be great to give them incentive. Again, we don't want to keep just piling things on teachers' plates and not offering them opportunities for any relief. But if you have some teachers that love writing, invite them to either create peer coaching models or they can lead the writing lab series. Provide some AI training with writing. Provide professional learning on how to use AI. AI can be very complex. It also can be it can be very easy button, but there's ways that you can incorporate that to enhance what you're doing. So I was really excited because my principal, not only after that full day professional learning, I applied for a grant where I brought in the professor from the university that we were working with the writing project. And I actually had 20 of my colleagues stay after school 1 hour every single Wednesday, and we had our own writing boot camp. We talked about problems of practice. We talked about ways of how to, be intentional about writing. But we actually did this, and it was really amazing that people were willing, like the grant paid teachers for their time. So that was really important because we didn't just want people to do anything for free, but we paid teachers for their time. We were able to collaborate and it was a very different culture in the school after that. And Michelle is sharing some cool resources in the chat. Using Ready Revolution Teach Sentence Level, we call it the year of the sentence, been the focus for professional learning, familiar with sentence level activity to write and learn, and then learning to write. That's amazing, Michelle. So what Michelle is showing in the chat, and when we, for the follow-up, Aviv, we'll try to figure out how to also export some of these great comments in the chat. But that's it, right? An intention, a goal, and get buy-in, but keep it simple, right? They're focusing on how to make sure you have amazing sentence structures. Awesome. Thank you for sharing. With number three, time. Build time for writing. It's not going to happen overnight. I know that you have a lot of things to do in your roles. I know that there's 1,000 things you have to do, but if you don't build time for it, it will not be a priority. What do I mean? You got to start small, right? Maybe introduce 3 minutes a day where every single class starts with writing. Like you just set an expectation. Even for the next 2 to 3 weeks, I want every class to start with a 1 minute to 3 minute what somebody called it, a jot of the day. I love that, Christine. Jot of the day. Or you can call it the quick brainstorming, quick write, or whatever you want to call it. But if you start by starting with a timed write, it's an expectation that when students come into class, they're going to write real quick, first 1, 2 minutes of the class, boom. It'll help to refocus brains. In high school, middle school, it'll help students to actually, with that resiliency skills, if they know they're starting the day with a quick time to jot down whatever just happened in the hallway, then they can start to focus on learning. But start very simple, make it an expectation. You can also use it for transitions, exit tickets, quick writes. You can make sure that teachers know that, you'll come in and do a quick jot, and then every teacher is going to do a quick exit ticket. So students will know they're going to be writing when they come in, quick write when they go out. Again, these take time. But if you prioritize it and even try it with a couple teachers, see the results, ask students how they're feeling about it, notice which classes don't have behavior issues, you might be onto something. So again, building time, being really intentional about it. There's ways to leverage technology. Michelle just shared a really great way to leverage technology using AI tools to be strategic. Like I'm going to share with you our AI writing tool that we built, or using Google Docs or something, another technology that you've invested in to help streamline the writing process. But don't forget, we do want time for handwriting as well as computer and technology-based writing. So an example of what we did, we made this a norm in 5th and 6th grade because I was doing a lot of inclusion with our 5th and 6th grade educators. So then we started using writing as a tool to do different things. So this was part of an ELA class that we had students start with a quick write about what is their favorite genre of book. Then from there, they created their favorite genre on the larger sticky notes. Then they got into groups, and each of them had to put their large sticky note. They got to illustrate the genre, they could write it in words or pictures. Then they got together and they had to create a summary of what all of their genres had in common and comment on it. And then we did a gallery walk with sticky notes, having students comment on each of the posters. This took like 2 different days. But it was multiple ways of generating writing. And like I said, the generative piece. So here students were not only handwriting, they were using it as a tool to think. They were using it to organize their thinking. They were using it to collaborate with each other. But you had to teach different steps of this. Like if you have to teach kids how to comment because kids would just write cool and stick it on a sticky note. So this involves some modeling. But then once we had this became a tool for the 5th and 6th grade teachers to use. It was a strategy. So we would say, all right, this was the brainstorming day, and then all of the classes would use a strategy. So it became an expectation that we did at my school, and kids loved it. And then when those 5th graders went to 6th graders, they were already in the habit of doing this. And we were able to, once you said quick write, it wasn't a crazy thing. That's an example of that. Tip number 4, use AI wisely. I know a lot of you are starting to embark on the AI journey. I know a lot of schools in the Northeast are creating AI committees, which is wonderful. I'd be curious, just in the chat, you can even just put a +1 or a yes. How many of you are using AI to help you with writing? Like emails, uh, yes, write emails. I'm using it for a lot of emails. If I have to say something that I don't like to say, like I actually got in a really um, fun little personal thing. I was frustrated with a family member, and I again use writing as an emotional regulatory tool for me. So I wrote down all the reasons I was frustrated, but then I ran it through ChatGPT to make it sound nicer. And it was perfect, like tweaking things. So a lot of you are using AI for your personal writing. Sometimes I'll use it for feedback. It's been really interesting because before I would just literally mind map, pencil, paper, everything. So it's been a newer way to play with how I'm using AI. But as building level leaders, how are you setting those expectations? Now, with any AI tool, it is, oh, great, resume, cover letters, yes, recommendations. There's so many great things that you can actually use AI to help streamline some of your tasks as a leader or human. But as building level leaders, district level leaders, it's really important for you to define the clear guidelines, how AI is to be used. Banning it doesn't work, y'all, because it's out there. So how do you want teachers and students to use AI? But clarity is kind. The clearer the expectations, the better. That's why I love when I hear districts are forming AI committees, because you're getting buy-in for what the policies and procedures should be in your building. And maybe, you want them to use AI just for feedback, not to create essays. Or you can use AI to create essays because kids are going to critique the essays. They're not going to be handing in just an AI essay. Teach AI literacy, meaning give educators some time and space to play with different tools. It's very overwhelming, just like it was when you adopted a new curriculum, when you adopted any new standards. You can't just just pile a million things on educators. That doesn't work. Same thing with students. Too many choices, too many choices. So giving them time to, play with some of the tools. Think about how would you incorporate this in your instructional practice? And the same thing in classrooms, if you once you choose an AI tool, giving students the opportunity to play around with it, what's working, what doesn't, how would you use this? The more structured we can be, the more impactful the implementations and these tools will work for us, not against us. Maybe run some AI writing challenges. I've heard some school districts are already doing this, which is really fun. You can give students writing prompts to use with AI. Like I've had some districts that are like, go into AI, Khanmigo for us, but go to Khanmigo and have Khanmigo talk about the Gettysburg Address in Kermit the Frog voice. Doing something that's like a playful prompt for students to experiment with a tool of how to write something, or give all the students the same prompt but have them each choose a different character from like Sesame Street or something that they would use, or something on some other popular culture. But giving then they could have the most creative writing assignment wins. So you could absolutely create building level contests of just, I mean, it doesn't hurt to have joy and fun and creativity all wrapped into writing. What? How wild is that? And I know we hear a lot about using AI for cheating. Students are not even writing essays. So let's move on the positive side and show the power that these tools could have to use it. Power of good, not so much the other direction. So I'll show you a little bit how we're thinking through some of our tools, particularly Writing Coach, but I will show you some of the other AI tools that can help assist teachers with writing, but also think about how students could use this too. And the last tip, how do we create a space to celebrate student and staff writing? Because writing can be such a powerful tool in so many ways, but it's also important to celebrate things. Giving the fun place like that, the building level contest, that's one idea. Another idea, what if you wanted to create a school blog? Maybe invite students to contribute to the school blog and have a featured writer of the week. I can tell you every single district has a website, and then even districts, schools have websites. So you could have, students, you could even have classroom blogs like that. I know blogs are like, what? Are people still doing blogs? You know what? Yes, they're making a comeback, y'all. They went from blogs to vlog. We're watching videos. I think more and more people are going back to long form writing in social media, which is also very interesting. But creating something that is a shared experience that students feel a sense of ownership, or you could have a faculty space for doing that too. Maybe do an open mic night, giving students the opportunity to share writing with others at schools, like a school sponsored open mic. You could do it virtually, you could do it in person. What we loved at the National Writing Project that I did in the summer, every Friday we would go to a cafe and host an open mic where we share excerpts of our writing from the week. It's fun to be able to read it out loud, be a little playful with it, but it was really like task, audience, purpose. It can be an instructional lesson, a playful lesson. You can invite families. There's so many cool things you could do with an open mic night. And then also making student writing visible. Maybe have student writing displayed in hallways, classrooms, digital screens, have students featured on the morning announcement. If you do any of these AI contests, then the winner can read some of the excerpts on the morning announcements. There's so many ways that you can elevate and celebrate writing. And I wouldn't just say for students, it's really powerful that teachers and leaders get involved too. So make sure you are celebrating writing everywhere, because if you can start to see the writing around, then it's going to start to shift your culture towards valuing the writing as an ability to do a lot of really wonderful things that it's designed to do. Whew! Like, I shared a lot, but the way I was able to celebrate writing, I was so passionate, and I knew that my students would ask, they would say, they would like be so sad when our writing time was done. So I had this crazy idea to apply for a grant, and I hosted a writing workshop over the summer. And these were the sixth grade. They were sixth or incoming sixth graders that I offered it to, and they all were so excited. And, we wrote, we went outside for a little recess, we ate lunch, wrote again. And these kids loved coming to school in the summer to hang out with me and to write their stories. I had them all create Google Sites. We would share their writing, and then we had an open mic night at the very end. We invited family members to come and listen to pieces of writing. So I was so grateful that my leader was very she was really open to me shifting the culture of writing in my building. And it really did. Like, the teachers got involved, and it really changed things for the good. It was pretty awesome. Oh my gosh, Brandy, that's great. Hosted themed writer celebration where they invited parents and other classrooms to come and listen to our stories. Mother's Day tea, movie night, red carpet. Oh, a red carpet. That is so great. So I'd love to know which one of those stood out to you, or which one might you want to try? So it was a lot, how to shift and create cultures of writing in your buildings or schools. So I'm just going to give you a second. If you want to reply in the chat, that's great. If you're just watching this, some sort of independent think time, which one are you like most excited about? So I'll stop talking for like 15 seconds, and then we'll finish with me showing you some tools. Making writing a priority across content areas and needing a writing framework. Thank you, Christine. Yes. Awesome. Yep. Whole school buy-in. Absolutely, Brandy. That is totally true. To make change, you need everyone to be on board. Systemic buy-in from everyone. Awesome. All right, y'all can keep sharing some things in the chat. So the final section, oh, let's take a little pause for some humor. Little pause for some humor. I'll give you a second to read this. I thought this was hilarious. The writing an essay in high school starter pack. In case it's too little for you, I'll read it to you. Zoning out and realizing you haven't written anything for 10 minutes. Contemplating why you need to write. Your wrist hurts. The teacher feels like they're stalking you. And then you keep looking around the hall to see like what's happening. It's like the process of trying to like write. Yeah, this is more for probably test taking writing, but yeah, that tracks. And also, this was my favorite thing. My students would always ask me, do I have to write in complete sentences? Like, look at this face. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes, you do need to write in complete sentences. So that little humor break for you. All right, the final piece I want to share about what we created, Khanmigo's writing coach. And guess what, everybody? It's going to be officially announced broadly tomorrow, but writing coach is now free. What? Free for teachers. So I'll show you how you can sign up for a free account, but your teachers can start using writing coach for free, which is really exciting. But let's talk about what is writing coach and why did we even create writing coach? So for us, Khanmigo Writing Coach, it's an AI powered tool that doesn't just produce better writing, it's designed to produce better writers. It is an instructional tool. That is the whole reason why we designed this. So, what we know about writing, that students are expected to meet grade level writing standards. That is true. Yes, yes. The National Commission on Writing, I told you this earlier, recommends that students spend 60 minutes a day writing. That doesn't have to be academic writing. This is all the other writing I was talking about, even brainstorming, quick writes, writing in response, summarizing. It doesn't have to just be, I'm writing, my essay on War and Peace for 60 minutes a day. But I'm telling you, so many kids don't even spend that, which is why I shared everything up until this point, because if you can shift that, you are going to have such stronger learners in your buildings. And many students need support throughout the entire writing process, like some of the pain points in the tweets that I shared with you. Teachers, there's not enough time, right? Some of you even said there's not enough time. So, and when students are writing during the writing process, they feel like they need more support or they get stuck. And then giving students specific, actionable, personalized, timely feedback is critical to help them improve their writing. So we know that's true about writing. Then here's the reality. Only 24% of 8th and 12th graders meet grade level writing standards. 24%. Are we okay with just 24% of our students meeting these standards? Let's say hope not. Less than 10% of middle and high school students are writing 60 minutes a day. Less than 10%, y'all. Having 130 students to one teacher, that's really hard to give them the deep support that they need. And sometimes it takes teachers, or typically, or on average, 17 hours to provide the personalized feedback for 100 students. How many of you feel that with your teachers? Or your teachers feel stressed because they don't feel like they're doing it well enough. So here's where we thought about writing at Khan Academy. In January of 23, we first started doing this prototyping on what writing coach could look like. Then in June of 23, we launched this college admissions essay learner activity. Then we evolved that into academic essay feedback. And then we realized that we even wanted to give more support and feedback for students. So then we created the student experience of writing coach, launched the teacher experience in 24, and now we're offering it for free in 25. So here's what it is and here's what it's not. And then I'm going to show you how to access all this stuff. What it is an instructional tool with the primary purpose for student learning and teacher transparency. It's designed to guide students through a full academic essay writing process while trying to prevent the cheating aspect. It's not a full AI detector, whatnot, but we're trying to minimize the cheating. We're trying to empower students to know how to write the academic essay. It's a way for teachers to give students more writing practice, and then they have on-demand support. And then also for teachers to be able to see some of the insights as students, like how many minutes they're on, are they accepting feedback, are they trying to cut and paste stuff? So that's what it is. What it is not. It's not just a digital essay writing platform, or it's not an evaluative tool. A lot of people want AI help with grading writing. This is not that. It's not a student productivity tool. It's not designed to have students write faster, quicker, more, or even to like check their grammar and stuff. There's other AI tools for that. It's not a feedback generator. It's going to give students, you can't like put your essay in there and just get feedback. That's not what it's designed to do. It's designed to help with the instructional piece. And it's not a tool that provides just like grammar suggestions. The feedback that it's going to give students is really a reflection of what the essay assignment is that's generated by the teacher. So once we released it, here's what some people are saying about Writing Coach. Blown away with the quality of the feedback. Khanmigo provided all the feedback I would have given time and then some. Wow. The results from student using it were amazing. Khanmigo made the most significant difference in helping students. We've been pushing all of the essay feedback, but like the fact that the teacher, all of this teacher students passed the writing assessment that spring just by learning how to write the academic essay. This teacher in California says the answer to all their dreams. I think that's a little much, but she was so excited. So let me show you what Writing Coach is. And how many sentences do I need to write? The only answer I got. Okay. So here is Khan Academy. You can go today. We're going to give you some follow-up steps at the end of our session today. We'll drive you to a landing page. You can find out more information. But right now, what is free? Any of your educators, we can get a free Khan Academy account. You have access to our teacher tools for free, like 98% of those. And then also now Writing Coach. So Writing Coach now lives. If you log in and create a free account, it's going to live right over here on this drop down. So I'm going to open that up. It opens up in a new tab. So what Writing Coach does is the free version, what's going to happen is you are going to create a essay. Now, you're going to create an assignment, excuse me. So it gives you a little guidance of what it is, a little demo, YouTube, some FAQs, which are helpful. So I want to create a new assignment. So you can click here to create a new assignment, but I just want to show you what the assignments look like. And when you click on assignments, they'll be here, but I haven't created any yet. So I'm going to show you what an assignment could be. Then once you've created the assignment, you have the ability to assign it to the students, but all of your essays will live in this area. So then we have some sample essays. So I'm going to show you what an assignment looks like for Romeo and Juliet. So the couple things, you have up to 2,000 words to create an assignment. You want to be as specific as possible with the assignments. If you are having students respond to something that's well known, like Romeo and Juliet, Khanmigo is going to be able to know Romeo and Juliet. If you want students to respond to a very interesting piece of text that's not super well known, you can actually cut and paste the text in there too. Like if you want to do a literary analysis of something that isn't very commonly known, you have up to 2,000 words to be able to cut and paste in there. But you want to make sure that your teachers are creating, select the grade level, the essay type, the instructions, and then requirements. The reason why these requirements are really important is because that's how Khanmigo is going to give feedback against what the teachers are interested in, what you want your students to do. So in the future, we will have the ability to potentially upload a rubric, but right now, this is kind of you're like writing the rubric in prose. So when your students come in, they can see the prompt, and then they have Khanmigo over here that's going to help them like understand the prompt, or maybe, my teacher wrote a lot of words. Can you simplify the assignment for me? Sure. Your task is to analyze who's responsible for the tragedy in Romeo and Juliet. Great. The next step, students will then outline their essay. So here's the problem we're trying to solve. Sometimes students don't know how to outline an academic essay. They don't know the steps. And then some teachers really are very specific with how they want to outline an essay. So they can add or subtract, different boxes to make it longer, shorter, things like that. But then students have Khanmigo to help in the moment with direct feedback. I'm stuck. I don't think I have a strong enough thesis. Can you help me check my work so far? That's where Khanmigo comes in. The next step then, students go to drafting their essay in Khanmigo, in Writing Coach. Now this is how again, it's not an AI checker, and students really could literally print out an essay and type it in here. But the point is once students are writing in here, if they cut and paste it, it'll flag it for the teacher, but they can see their outline, they can see the assignment, but then they have Khanmigo. So maybe, I don't know how to get started. Can you just help me figure out how to get started? Or can you check my work so far? This is the kind of place where teachers would love to do feedback on 100, 150 essays, but they just don't have the time. That's where Khanmigo is in the moment. And then the final piece, a revision piece. Now, this is where really you get the right feedback based on the prompt and students can, be like, check it so far. How's my introduction? How's the evidence, structure, conclusion, my style and tone? You can even chat with Khanmigo, like, I don't agree with what you said, explain it to me. Teachers can also see whether or not students took the feedback, all of it. Then you would submit it. This isn't an auto grader. Like I said, it does not grade it for you. It will tell you some suggestions, and then you can see if students took the suggestions or not. So this is now going to be available for free, but then your educators also have access to our AI teacher tools where you can play around with some of this. You can actually create a summary poem. You can have teachers create discussion prompts, letters of recommendation. There's other writing assistance or support that this can be used for teachers. So Angela, we are EdLaw 2D compliant in New York State. We are also, so for all of you in the Northeast, we are currently working on specific DPAs. We have a Rhode Island data privacy agreement. We have a New Hampshire data privacy agreement. We're working on the TEC consortium, which covers Maine, Vermont, Massachusetts, some other states. I can't think off the top of my head, but we are working to, yes, have writing coach covered under all of that too. And in New York State, we're negotiating a brand new DPA that's going to cover Khanmigo, and we are EdLaw 2D compliant. We also have a clean SOC 2 audit, so security, data privacy, it's all very important to us. So yes, Angela, the short answer is yes, and we're going to be having more coverage very, very soon. All right, y'all. That was a lot, right? Also, I don't know if you noticed, but Sarah Robinson, she is our product director for Writing Coach, and Writing Coach was featured on 60 Minutes with Anderson Cooper. So that's really fun. We can send you links of where you can watch that. And then we did our first ever Writing Coach symposium in New Hampshire where Sarah came and spoke, and it was really awesome. We had a bunch of educators together talking about writing, and maybe we'll start doing a little bit more of that. Oh, great. Aviv put some links in the chat. Perfect. So thank you for spending an hour with me. Here's what we covered: why writing matters, the neuroscience of writing, some activities you could do tomorrow to really create cultures of writing in your school. And I gave you a little bit of overview of Khanmigo Writing Coach. And then we'll finish with a little bit of humor. Right? I don't know how many of your kids have pretended to write stuff down. So hopefully you're not pretending to write stuff down, but I want to leave with you. Just keep writing, just keep writing. So I'd love to know final things. What's one thing you learned from today's session? If you want to put in the chat, that's great. If you're just watching this, again, what's one thing you learned that you're really excited about? And next steps. So we will be sending you the recording. We will be sending you, we have a learning collaborative page where you can watch Mastery Learning was that last month's session. You'll be able to see this. You can share it with colleagues. We'll make sure that we have if you're interested in working with us, there's ways to book time with me, but we'll also share some, you can just go to khanacademy.org. We're going to be pushing out a ton of stuff tomorrow about why Writing Coach is free. So there's lots of things, be able to watch all of these videos. Please share it widely with your staff. It would be great. And then continue to join us. Next month, we will be talking about math, all things math mindsets. Really, how are we not going to be okay with just 40% math proficiency in our buildings, all of the best practices around math. In April, we're going to really talk about connection relationships and how to do a little bit more creativity with AI. May, gratitude, playfulness, fun, all of that. And then in the final session is we'll talk about what's next with Khan Academy and Khanmigo. So please invite your colleagues to join. This will be the same last Tuesday of the month at 12. And again, this is me. If you have any questions, comments, I'd love to hear from you. And I just appreciate all of you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for the participation. Thank you for your comments. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And I can't wait to continue to learn with you. Thanks, everybody. Take care.